DNA. Passed down through our parents' genes from their parents and so on, it's what makes us human beings, and the unique individuals we are. But interestingly, it's only 0.1% of it that is exclusive to each of us, with 99.9% being identical from person to person. While 0.1% doesn't sound like much, it equates to a hugely large number of potentially unique DNA sequences. Deoxyribonucleic acid, or DNA for short, is an adjoined cluster that make up a molecule. With DNA, these molecules group together to form a double helix strand that resembles a spiraled ladder, and essentially act as a blueprint for the entire living tissue of any living thing, whether it be a human, a cat, or a tree. Most of us are familiar with the concept of DNA, but what you might not realize is that DNA can in fact be damaged. And in today's video we're going to talk about just that, plus what can cause DNA to be damaged in the first place. With DNA damage we find abnormalities with the DNA molecule, and it occurs anytime one of these DNA molecules is altered or added to or in some way either chemically or physically, such as a break in one of the strands of DNA molecules that makes up the double helix. Sometimes DNA's building blocks, called nucleotides, become damaged, and sometimes they simply match up incorrectly, which also causes mutations within the DNA. And it isn't a rare occurrence. There are around 60,000 sets of DNA within each cell that get damaged in just one day. So imagine the damage that occurs to the 100 trillion or more cells in your body, and you've got an unfathomable number of DNA errors occurring on a daily basis. Considering that your DNA is the blueprint for your cells to function correctly, this damage has the potential to cause serious problems later on, leading to diseases like cancer or neurological disorders. Thankfully, most of the time this damage can be repaired extremely quickly by specialized enzymes that respond differently depending on the type of DNA damage. DNA is susceptible to damage from factors like ultraviolet light, chemical exposure, ionizing radiation used in X-rays or used to treat conditions like cancer, and even deficiencies in micronutrients, which we'll now look at in more detail. When it comes to chemical changes to DNA's nucleotides, this damage can be caused by a variety of different molecules. Environmental exposure can be the cause of some of this damage. Take for instance certain compounds that exist in pollution or tobacco smoke, but in addition, molecules that are found naturally within the cells already can be another cause of this chemical change. Some of these changes are so common that the damage is repaired by special enzymes that are specifically designed for this type of reparation. UV light causes damage that is more complicated to fix. It has the ability to permanently disfigure the double helix structure by causing two adjacent nucleotides to fuse together. To repair this type of damage, the process is a little more complex and involves something called nucleotide excision repair. Gamma rays, X-rays, and other types of high-frequency radiation cause a different type of damage altogether. One or both strands of the DNA can be totally severed by these types of radiation, but the most dangerous are the double-strand breaks, when both strands of the DNA backbone are completely broken apart, as just one totally damaged DNA structure can cause a cell to die. Now, fortunately, it is possible for the DNA to be repaired by enzymes which fuse the broken ends back together, but the process is less accurate and it's more likely that genes will be shifted or disordered. Dr. Eric Berg, specialist in keto and intermittent fasting, gives us another unexpected yet potential cause of DNA damage which can lead to cancer and more, a folate, or vitamin B9 deficiency. Nutrients and vitamins play a massive role in your health. They keep your DNA and genes strong and stable and can be the determining factor in how long you live, as these essential nutrients are involved in keeping DNA stable through the repair process. Some of the most common causes of death are from complications such as heart attacks, cancers, or respiratory problems. Essentially, these arise from weaknesses within the body which will shorten your lifespan. If you're deficient in one of these nutrients, it will mean you are susceptible to a breakdown in the DNA repair process. The body works on a triage system, so it will delegate its most important resources to the more urgent issues. So if you have a slight deficiency in one nutrient, the body will ration the remaining nutrients to the short-term survival enzymes. This unfortunately leads to the suffering of the genes and enzymes that are involved in longevity and that all-important DNA repair. Ultimately, having just one undetected subclinical deficiency in any one nutrient can signify a shorter lifespan and also lays the groundwork for the development of cancer and other issues later down the line. It's not widely known, but Dr. Berg explains that shockingly, a deficiency in folate in fact causes the same amount of DNA damage as ionosing, high-frequency radiation from things like X-rays as we talked about before. And Berkeley professor of biochemistry Bruce Ames goes on to support this theory, stating that a deficiency in essential nutrients like B9, B12, niacin B3, and folate B6, iron and zinc appear to mimic radiation in terms of the damage it causes to DNA, causing breaks in one or both strands of the DNA, oxidative lesions, or a combination of the two. Ames continues to explain that deficiencies in micronutrients are likely to be a major cause of cancers. Folate is a coenzyme that specifically helps to repair DNA, so when one is deficient in folate, it can lead to all types of damage and breaks in the DNA strands. The repair process will also be blocked by this deficiency, which leads to the development of cancers, with some studies indicating an increased risk of developing tumors, especially in diabetics. Having a vitamin deficiency in something as simple as folate, you'll be at risk of a huge errors within your DNA, and it's something that will lead to a whole host of diseases and health issues that you may not even be aware of. These complex B-group vitamins that include folate are essential compounds for human health as they impact genome stability in cancer. And not only can you damage your DNA when your body is low on folate, but you can develop anemia, skin inflammation, irritability, and depression in addition to shortening your lifespan. And there aren't necessarily any symptoms associated with subclinical levels of nutrient deficiencies. They just suddenly cut your life short or lead to cancer without you having any idea, which means you don't have the chance to rectify the problem before it's too late. As there's no way for you to know, it's incredibly important to do your research, to read reports and studies and watch videos like this in order to have an understanding of the enormous connection between ensuring you have all of the nutrients your body needs by eating foods that are nutrient-dense, and just how essential this is to safeguard your genes and DNA, thereby also protecting your health, guarding against cancer, and ultimately protecting your longevity. That's going to do it for today. If you found today's video interesting, then help us out by leaving a like or sharing this video with your friends. You can also let us know your thoughts in the comment section below. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon so you don't miss out on our upcoming videos.